Hi, I'm Esther Emery. I'm the homestead wife at the DIY and homesteading channel Fouch Off-Grid. And today I'm going to bring you along while I make bread in the wood-fired cook stove. Bread is a major part of our family's diet. I love making bread. My mother also loved making bread, although I am not using her recipe. I can't do everything exactly like my mom. But bread is something that we all really enjoy. This particular recipe is a sandwich bread, a yeast sandwich bread. My husband likes peanut butter sandwiches. He's a pretty simple guy, has eaten peanut butter sandwiches for lunch almost every day that I've known him. So we have perfected a recipe that's great for sandwiches, that keeps well, and is kid-friendly. And the recipe is below. Here we go. Now, I said that I make this bread about every other day. This right here is what's left of the last bread making, and it'll be gone before this bread comes out of the oven this afternoon. I've got two bowls here, my mixing bowl. I'm going to do my sponge first, and then I'm going to do my dough in this bowl. I'm going to use this one to proof the yeast. Now I have my water. I throw a thermometer in here just in case, largely because I have so many things on my mind. I have burned my yeast before. So it can't be over 130 degrees. This is 1 cup of water. It's not in a measuring cup, but I know that this is 1 cup. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of sweetener and 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, and then pour the water on top.
That's me.
And stir once. Now, proofing the yeast is to test the yeast to make sure that it works, but also it's a part of the whole activation process. Since it is a part of my process, I wouldn't drop it. It wakes up the yeast and gets it working. Sadie, do you want to come see? While my yeast is proofing, I'm going to start the sponge. I have 3 tablespoons of sweetener. I do use real maple syrup. Now, the real maple syrup is an expense, but one of our secrets to financial management is that we pay for things as much as we value them. And we actually do really value maple syrup as a natural sweetener that's healthy for our kids. So we do frequently spring for the maple syrup. But if you don't have maple syrup on hand, just swap out honey. It works just as well. Along with my sweetener, I've got a little bit of salt, 2 teaspoons of salt. I've had my butter melting on our indoor heating stove. Let's go see if it's melted. This is a half stick of butter, 1/4 cup. 2 more cups of water. Now it looks like my yeast is proofed.
No.
Actually, sometimes I wait even longer than that until it's bubbled all the way over the top. But right now, let's just keep going forward. Oh, do you want to pour it in?
If I'm very close.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so we're putting flour in our sponge. You can use the same sponge technique with any kinds of flour. You're going to want to add your heaviest flours first. In this case, that's going to be my wheat flour. I'm doing 3 cups of wheat. You ready to dump, Sadie? Okay, good job.
I only bashed this, but I don't want to do that.
Do you want me to do this one?
No, me. Look, I do the pudding.
Okay.
I gotta do this one.
All right, all right, all right.
You are allowed to go. Yeah.
Do you want to start stirring?
Yep, I do.
Now I'm switching over to my white flour. 1 more cup of white flour. That's as much flour as I want to add to make the sponge, which will not be a heavy dough. It's soft enough or liquid enough so that it still falls off a spoon. Can I stir, baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm too tired of this.
Yeah. So I stir everything by hand. You absolutely can do this with a KitchenAid or some other kind of mixer, but if you live off the grid, that doesn't make very much sense. And I'm just accustomed to doing it by hand. It doesn't seem hard to me now. But I do about 100 strokes all in the same direction, trying to get lots of air in there, nice and fluffy and consistent. Now I'm going to scrape down the sides. Not yet. Not yet, baby. Okay, fine. You can have it. See, this is what she's here for. Now I'm going to add the rest of my flour on top, but I'm not going to mix it in because I want that sponge to rise in its spongy magic state. So I've got 2.5 more cups of white, but I'm just going to shake it on the top.
Very good. And now,
Now on top, 1/2 cup of vital wheat gluten. This really helps with the consistency to make it a sandwichy kind of bread, to make it a tight crumble that slices easily. The vital wheat gluten really helps. Rise, yes. Sadie's got it.
Punch it.
And then we punch it. Yes, she's way ahead of you. So I'm going to set this close to the fire to rise for 1.5 hours. So this is what it looks like when it's been rising. You can see it's got lots of air bubbles, and all that flour on the top doesn't even cover the top anymore. First I'm going to stir it in, and then I'll turn it out to knead it.
Mama, I want to do a little more.
Okay, you do a little.
It's so rough. It's so rough now, Mom.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, you did it really fast. You did it really fast, Mom.
Okay. Now I'm going to spread some flour on my surface and turn it out to knead. My mother taught me how to knead bread probably when I was about Sadie's age. Fold and squish, she'd say. You fold and squish. So turn, fold, squish. Turn, fold, squish. Turn, fold, squish. That's right, baby. Yeah. I can tell that my kneading is done after about 10 minutes when I press it in and it bounces back. So that's a moderately stiff dough. I'm going to wrap it up into a nice ball and set it in my greased bowl. I will reuse the same bowl for the second rise. So I use my spatula to scrape out what dough is in here and get it nice and clean. And then I'm going to coat it with butter. Now we cover it with a napkin again and let it rise this time for 40 minutes. Just because I know people are curious how I clean my counters and my hands. I don't have running water. I do have water. It's right here in this jug. But a lot of my counter cleaning I do with a sharp blade, with this one or with this old cut-off spatula. I just scrape my counter surfaces. And then to clean my hands, I always keep handy a damp washcloth, which gets more done than you might think, although I do also wash my hands with warm water in a bowl when needed. So the next thing to do is to start a fire in the wood cook stove. We've got some paper trash and some cut kindling. Wood! That's right. Here we go. Outside, baby. Our firebox is on the side. I have a little tool for lifting off the rounds. I'm going to lay in my paper and my kindling. Before I light my fire, I'm going to make sure my dampers are open, so I have maximum airflow to start the fire. And now we wait. You want to come inside? I want a cup of coffee.
I'm a hot cocoa.
Okay, let's go. So this has been rising for 40 minutes. It's about twice the size as when I put it in. And I'm going to punch it down. I don't knead my dough at this point. I'm just going to shape it into a round and then start making loaves.
Yay!
Yay! it into 2 equal parts.
Very good. I gotta help you to roll it up.
Okay, you can do the next one, honey. My turn. I roll it out into one flat, long piece, and then I roll it up, just like I were making cinnamon rolls or something. Roll it up tight.
And then put in this one.
And then I squish the air out of my ends, roll them under, pat it into a shape,
And then put it in there.
and set it in my loaf pan. I grease my loaf pans with butter. All right, Sadie, your turn. You ready?
Yep.
Little flour. Here. See what you can do with that.
Hi, Dad. I do this one. I do this.
Yep, you do. Can you roll it up?
Roll it up. How do I do it?
Just like that. And then roll. Oh, can you make it go over itself like this?
Over itself like
Pretty close, honey. Can I finish it up for you?
Close.
Okay. I'm actually not too worried about it. We go through these loaves pretty quickly. So if this one isn't quite as pretty as the other one, that's going to be fine.
And don't to eat.
It's still good to eat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now what do we do next?
I'm gonna put it in the oven.
Not yet. What happens before we put it in the oven?
Pineapple cap.
Yeah, we're going to let these rise one more time before we put them in our oven. Great. Can I set them by the fire?
Yep.
Okay. So here's what the loaves look like as they're going into the oven. My oven is a little hot right now, so I may have to crack the door. When I first made the fire, I made sure that my dampers were all open, but this controller right here routes the air through the oven. So I switched that over to the left so that the hot air is going through the oven before it goes out the exhaust. And that heated up my oven. I always use a thermometer, a standing thermometer, because although there is a thermometer on the front, you can't even really see it. It's not very accurate. So that's what it looks like when it's going into bake. The one on the left is the one that Sadie made, and the one on the right is the one that I made, but I'll bet they're going to look pretty much the same when they come out. They've been rising for about 40 minutes, which gets them just above the edges of the pan, and they'll rise more as they bake. It smells good. This is the 20-minute mark. My oven is still a little hot at 375, but the loaves look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch their places because this part right in the middle doesn't get cooked as well. So I'm going to swap the two of them and hold the door open for a second because we're running a little hot. Okay, let's see how we did. There's our bread. I'm Esther for Fouch Off Grid. Thanks for watching.